I am joined now by Ellen Clark, who is the CEO and founder of Global Beauty Private Label Skincare. Now, I wanted to have Ellen on today because I always get asked the question, how do I start my own private label? Or, I really don't want to have a private label because it's going to be so much expense. There's so many great products out there. Why do I need to bring another one into the world? And there's so many different myths that Ellen's going to uncover today. But there's also so much that we thought we knew about private label, but definitely didn't. So welcome, Ellen.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and to talk to you.
My pleasure. Now, before we jump into everything there is to know about private label, and you guys know that this is only about 25 minutes, so we're going to cover as much as we can, but we'll make sure we cover the important stuff right now. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you started Global Beauty Skincare.
Well, I've been in the professional skincare industry for 30 years, and I opened the first acne skincare clinic many years ago, and then did distribution, and then launched a brand nationally. And now for the past 10 years, we've had Global Beauty Private Label. And really, it came out of really our customers asking us for private label. They noticed that they either wanted to create and curate their own product or products so that their patients would come back to them to replenish, or they just had a dream, a vision for having their own creative outlet. They wanted an online opportunity as well, and sometimes they don't have that. So I started Global Beauty Private Label again about a decade ago. More recently, we launched with new packaging and new ways for our practices to get involved with private label really easily and get to market very quickly. And of course, with COVID, who knew that this would even be more timely? So that's kind of how I got into it. I've been educating, for years, and just really want to, hopefully with your viewers that are considering private label, dispel some of the myths that people get afraid, I can't do it, it's too expensive, some of those myths. But at the end of the day, what I'm seeing from our customers and practices that have embraced private label, they're always so surprised that it's so much easier. If you have a patient base already, then that's the most important thing. And if you've built credibility and loyalty, you have a distribution method to get your products out there. And really, adding private label is the next thing that you can do. And it doesn't mean you throw away the baby with the bathwater. It doesn't mean you take your key brands that you love and that your patients have a great relationship with. It's by no means saying you do that, of course not. But it's another extension, if you think of it as a line extension, where you can grow your business and your retail, which we all know is so important to your profit margin,
So let's take a step back before we jump into a little bit more of the details. And I'm assuming most people know, but what is private labeling?
Thank you. Yeah, I assume everybody knows what that is, but you're right, it can be misleading because historically, private label has meant, way back, 20, 30 years ago, it was like cheap product that you pretty much water down everything, that you would mark up a lot of times and you would sell it. And we all buy private label. If you go to Costco, you think of Kirkland. If you go to Trader Joe's, which many of us do, we buy Trader Joe's. Those are examples of what private label is. Trader Joe's doesn't actually make the product, but their name is on it, and that's the only place you can get it. And I know, like, you probably have your favorites like I do, that I go back there specifically. I can't go to Ralph's or Kroger's and get those Trader Joe's, whatever it is. So it's that same kind of model. We do get calls. I want to just make a distinction.
Sure.
Private labeling is not custom formulating. The custom formulating, so sometimes we'll get a doctor that says, I have this idea. I want to create this moisturizer or this product, and I want to have all these things in it, and I want it to smell like this. And that's not private labeling. That takes a lot longer to do, and minimums are extremely high. What we really do is we've created medical grade formulations that have been out there that perform and get results. I mean, that is our point of view, that That's what we
I'm
want.
glad you brought that up, because even the people, as you and I both assumed that everybody knows what private labeling is, I think a lot of people do get the two confused and think
Yeah.
it is a custom formulation. So I'm glad you clarified that. So Ellen, what are the key benefits to having your own branded products?
Well, there's the key benefits are, one, loyalty. Again, just like I said, when I had my clinic and I actually did private label a product, it was a long time ago. In those days, we had it custom formulated, but our patients could only buy the products through our clinic. And for years, even after I sold the clinic, people would still call because they wanted that particular product. So loyalty is important. Also, you control pricing. We all know that the internet is everything. Every brand is sold on the internet one way or another. And even brands that tell you they're not sold on the internet, somewhere somebody's selling it.
You can find them.
You can find them. So let's say you purchase from a company like ours, the product, your markup, you determine the markup. And in certain cities, the markup can be 3, 4x. And in other cities, it's more sensitive. It can only be 2x. But you control the pricing. You also have a real opportunity to control positioning. For example, we make products for, private label brands will have products for all kinds of things. But let's say you particularly have a practice where you see a lot of teenage acne. You can name the product name. You can write directions a certain way. You can get creative. And if you have somebody in your practice that wants to really get creative and target teens, you could even create a teen line that's really targeted. If you have a multicultural population and you want your labeling to really speak to your marketplace, or you want it to be bilingual, these are things you can do. And sometimes big brands, we all know, don't address niches. Is what maybe the body, maybe you're seeing a lot of eczema or issues with areas of keratosis pilaris. You can create custom signature products for different dermatologic topical issues and create a name for it and really reach a certain population. So I think that's really important. So again, the 3 most important things are loyalty, the return on investment, controlling the pricing, and positioning to different target markets. Online, by the way, and in your own, practices where you're dispensing.
Without a doubt, because you guys know that if you're offering Obagi, they can go on Amazon and find Obagi. They can go to other practices and get Obagi. And we all know that some of the retailers on Amazon is not going to be the right product, the appropriate product, but the consumer doesn't necessarily know that. And again, they're not just going to other practices or going online. Wherever they find your branded, your private label, it's always going to come back to you. That's your...
Yeah. And what I want to share with you, there are ways that you can, this is not an overnight get rich quick scheme. This is a process. As you know, when you first brought in, maybe when you opened your medical practice and you first brought in products, loyalty and building relationships and trust takes time, and having them try new products takes time. But if you get started, let's say in early 2020, you will see in 6 months to a year, you will have been able, even if it's 50% of your patients are starting to use your own brand, it will affect your bottom line, and you don't have to do it overnight.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we really talk about on our side with the consulting is that you really want to get them also in that subscription type model. So if you know that they're going to go through every 3 months they're going to need, or every 60 days they're going to need a new supply, they should be on auto ship, auto charge, and that's out the door. So whether you get shut down or not, that product's still going out and you still have that revenue coming in as well. And yes, you could do it with other brands as well, but at that point they could also shop you around. And when you have your own brand loyalty, that is priceless.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Ellen, I hear so many different objections when, I suggest that practices start their own private label. And I know you probably hear them all the time. Can we talk about some of the myths that are out there?
Yes, and there are a number of them, so thank you. So the first one is that it's too expensive to get started. And now some of you watching this already do private label, and you know it's not too expensive. If you work with, like us, with Global Beauty, we have a minimum of only 18 pieces per SKU. The other thing is, so you can start, we have a $750 opening order with 18 pieces per SKU. And I'm not trying to sell you on Global Beauty. I'm just saying that established private label is not so expensive to get going. So the orders are minimal, no more so than your established brands. In fact, on some people have told us that it's less expensive because we don't have a large opening order. So it's really not expensive, and you're not going to have product that sits on the shelf. The other thing is you don't have to order a whole brand. That's also, I think, people think, well, oh my gosh, I have all this product on the shelf now. How can I bring in another brand? Well, bring in one SKU, bring in 2 SKUs. If let's say retinol or vitamin C, which you sell a lot of. Let's say you want to bring in a signature vitamin C. It's just kind of like if you've gone to CVS and you see CVS brand, and then you see Olay next to it. They're not stupid. They're selling both right next to each other, but it's really how they talk about it. So if you sell a ton of vitamin C's, maybe we help you take another type of vitamin C, like an oil-soluble vitamin C, or something different, or a different spin on a hyaluronic with vitamin C, and then we position that differently for you, for your signature brand, and help you talk about it differently. And it's for maybe a certain skin type that you want to have a more customized product for. So you don't have to start with an entire brand. We've had I had a pediatrician that just we have a balm that's for healing for really dry skin. And that's the only SKU that pediatrician wanted to bring in, and sells, buys hundreds a month of just that one product. So don't feel like overwhelmed, like I have to bring a whole brand in. So that's first.
Oh, and that's a great tip too, because I know my dermatologist sells me, but they sell it in the very generic little tube, and they can prescribe it, and I can go in and get the prescription, but they sell it in this tube. And if they had their brand, their name on it, I would pay more. I'm already paying, top of the line for Retin-A. I would pay a little bit more if it was theirs. So,
yeah, and then then your doctor's name is on your counter, and particularly when it's branded, it looks amazing. And then if the patient has a good experience with that product, they're going to want to try more. And then you might say, well, great, we're going to launch. We've got a new treatment product, a skin brightener that we're launching, in a few months. And then they just they're excited. And we can talk more about the marketing. I mean, that's your wheelhouse, April, but there's so many ways to get your patients really engaged and excited. They want to support you if you start your own thing.
And I love that. And that brings us to the second myth, that it's easier to sell the name brand, the branded products, not the private label.
It is, in the sense that that's what the brands tell you. Yes. And that's what you've become accustomed to. And yes, it is easier when they give you a lot of bells and whistles, because, I used to get all those things too. It's like short term, yes. Long term, no. Mm-hmm. Okay. Short term, yeah, I'm going to give you tons of consumer brochure. Once upon a time, pre-internet, it was like that. But now you have to do your own social media. You have to do your own digital marketing. It really is long term going to be easier for you. We provide samples. We help you come up with creative marketing calendars. You have an agency, you partner with an agency like April has, and they do all that with you and for you. And that's where you build your retail empire, so to speak.
Without a doubt. And if you're thinking of global as well, you can pair up with some nice influencers, and, it's really endless at that point. But for the short term, it does seem more cost effective and easier to sell the name brand or the branded products at the beginning. But long term, if you're thinking more, it's 6 months and so on, definitely you want to have the private label. And, as you mentioned at the beginning too, Ellen, you're going to have both. I'm sure most practices are going to have multi-labels sitting on their counters, but you want your own as well.
And you know what's funny? We think our patients know of the brands. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to say any brands, but they know the medical brands. None of my friends have ever heard of some of the top medical brands. So really, you're doing the education.
I love that you said that.
People don't know until, like, even when I sold professional brands myself, again, when I had my skincare clinic, nobody had ever heard of the brands. It was because I introduced them to the brands that they started to know about them. Their brains are not around brands. Their brains are around, I have pimples, I have wrinkles, I have dark spots, so you're really doing the heavy lifting for the brands. So why not your own brand, Oz?
Now, I love that you mentioned that, because that's something we never think about, but they're so second nature to us, and we're seeing them all the time, and we're getting the marketing emails, we're getting the sales reps walking in the door. They're top of mind for us, and our patients know about it because we're suggesting it. So
Yeah,
thank you for pointing that out. Number 3 that you have here is we must start with an entire brand selection. So is that what we kind of touched on in the last one?
Yeah, that's what we touched on. And again, you could start with, we have another customer of ours that she actually started with one product, and believe it or not, like, she started with us about 5 years ago, and now her products are in Sephora. I mean, it wasn't planned when she started. Like, that was not her dream, I don't think, in the beginning. She had a practice, and she was just really loved, this was her, what she wanted to promote, and then it grew and grew and grew, and she had opportunities. And you just never know where you can take something if you're that ambitious and you have the energy and the wherewithal and dream. With products, you can take it outside of the treatment room.
No, I love that.
The last myth I'll mention and here is that this is really important, is that what we hear, and one of the things, again, people get really afraid to jump into private label, is we have the myth that we have to do all of our own in-house education. And that's not the case anymore. We have webinars, we do Zoom calls, we have, when you work with an account rep, we have materials, we have technical data, we've got all the kind of support materials, we have samples, we always work with our accounts to understand, let's set up Zoom calls, let's do, a quarterly, let's talk about your launch. All of that stuff that an account rep does for a brand, it's available to you through your private label provider, and they all should be providing that. So I just wanted to point that out, because again, that's another thing that people get really stuck on. Because it is a pain point, right? Who's going to educate my team? That's too much for me. And once upon a time, years ago, again, when private label first began, 20 years ago, the brands didn't, the companies like that did private label, they didn't really provide all that, but that's all changed. And I have seen it with our account reps that they do so much to really excite and help the practice grow with their products.
I love that. And I love the support that your company provides as well. I've heard really good things about it.
The one here, lastly, is that the myth that people think about marketing their own brand. Yeah. And I get it. You're busy seeing patients, you're swamped. Marketing is not your greatest thing that you do, and you don't have a dedicated marketing full-time person, but you really don't need one. There are marketing agencies that will help you plan. You can do that you can hire, whether it's through Upwork.com, if you just need somebody on a project basis, or a company like April's company that does digital marketing strategy for you and brings people in and really engages. I mean, how wonderful, so many times your patients come and then maybe they came in for something totally unrelated, but now you get them on your emails, and now you have a real way to start engaging them with your product launches. And you don't have to be good at everything. Yeah. I've outsourced social media many times before. And, we work with different agencies for different things, and I don't want to necessarily hire a full-time person, but I will work with an expert in that area. And that does make a difference. I will say that our clients that hire outsource things, and they have a strategy, and they know they want to achieve, it saves them so much pain.
Without a doubt, definitely. Now, I know that obviously you work with many different practices. Are there some key takeaways that you can leave the audience with some things that maybe makes some practices more successful than others?
Absolutely. There's a few key things I'll mention. Building a brand development strategy with an account rep is really important. Our team will work with you to build that brand, meaning really analyzing your current selection of products, looking at what your goals are, how you want to grow it, where the opportunities are. Maybe your brand that you do carry or brands that you carry are missing a certain segment. So we develop a brand strategy with you to help you have a roadmap, just like kind of like a mini business plan, but it's for your retail part of your business. Another are successful practices, bundle services, and some of you are probably already doing this. So with all your services, from your IPLs to your microneedling to your radio frequency, to just every peels, you can create your own pre-care and post-care kits, and you would want to start integrating your own products into your treatment rooms and telling that story, because we all know that marketing is about telling your story, and every point that a patient is in, is in your practice and then after reinforces how they care for their skin after the service. And again, one of the things I used to teach a lot was that and I found this, the more times patients have a touch point with your practice, the more you build loyalty. No
without a doubt. And I love bundling it with your services, especially if we're just getting off Black Friday at the time of recording this. And a lot of the practices sold a package of peels, but also that post-care kit, or they were selling microdermabrasion and then the kits that went along with it as well. Some of the practices didn't necessarily give the full-size product, but just enough to get them through the next few days after the peel. And now they know they like the product, they know their skin's feeling nice and moisturized and nice and bright. That's an easy reorder. Your practice could also give them a call afterwards, check on how they're doing, and say, and by the way, did you like, whatever products that you supplied? Would you like us to send you the full size products? It's a really easy upsell from there. So I love that tip.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's you make me think of another thing. So I go to a dermatologist like we all do, and they have 18 dermatologists there, and they do not have a digital platform. I can tell you that. They never promote products. I don't get monthly emails from them. And when I do get an occasional email, it's on an event. But I'm not going to go to any of their events. That is a whole opportunity. And they carry some of the most common medical brands, but they don't even promote those because it's not in their best interest. It's not their brand. But if they were sending to me, and people, what is it? They have to see things how many times in a row to make a buying purchase. So if they continued to talk to me with an email strategy, a drip campaign, so to speak, over and over, I would over time be curious. Then when I went back into the practice for something, I'd say, what, tell me more about that product. Or there might be a promotion that you do a gift with purchase, with every free IPL package, you get a skin brightener and an SPF and a mask or something, and then you get people to pre-purchase. I mean, there's these kind of strategies that work.
I love that. And one of the other things that you had in the notes here, which I think is definitely important to mention, is to get your team excited about it and to get your staff really enthusiastic. How would you go about doing that?
So that's so important. I think that is key, right? We need the buy-in from the team. And I've had estheticians work for me, and if they don't like the product, they're not going to talk about it. And people tend to sell what it is that they personally like. Sometimes they don't think about the patient. They think, oh, I like this cleanser, so everyone's going to like this cleanser, which isn't the case. So we will do the education with your team over and over and over again. Things can be recorded, but you need to be generous. You need to make sure every influencer employee gets the product. And yes, you may have to spend some money to give everybody some free product, but it's the best investment you can make, and getting them educated and using the products. And when you do a launch, and I love the idea that I like when our customers take in, a selection of products to start with, but with the strategy, okay, let's think about the next 3 quarters, we're going to add a new product per quarter. Because just like us, when we launch, we want the team to be excited. And there's things you can do with what you might be doing already with your team, and you assign them each like a product and they present it to the group, and whoever your lead is will work with your lead. If you have team members that don't want to talk about the products, then we can guide you in that direct, talk to you about that. But that is part of the job.
No, and I think that's great. And I know that your company also works with the practice to really help them create different unique ways, whether it's creating a contest for the team members, whether it's doing the presentations. So that would be definitely something that hopefully you guys are talking to Ellen, but if not, whichever private label company you're working with, they should be able to help you really get your team engaged and have that buy-in, because that's really what's going to sell your products.
So I don't want you to ever feel like, oh, private label, that I have to go hire a graphic artist. Mm-hmm. If you keep it simple, we've got designs. We've already done all of that. We know what works. We have metallics. We have all kinds of different templates. We help you with that. So don't ever feel like I can't do this because I don't even know what I would put on there. We even help you name your products. All you really need for private labeling is a logo, a high resolution logo. And the design is included. So we'd love to, anybody that is interested, they can connect with me or the company directly. And I just want to say one more thing about what you do. And one of the things I wanted to say, our successful practice do, and why, April, your company is so important, and is that our companies that are doing the best, they really do work with, if they really want to ramp it up and really take it to the next level, they work with an agency. They work with a digital agency to help them position, tell their story. Who are you? So you're a cosmetic dermatologist, but what is unique about you? And then really continue to feed that through everything you do, and with all your messaging and your products. And it's so much fun. If you can look at it as that, it's really fun, and it's something to be so proud of. I have not met anybody that we've worked with that has not been delighted to have this opportunity to expand in this way.
Awesome. So we're going to actually put link below that if you want Ellen's team to contact you to learn more about private labeling, you can reach out to her directly. Ellen, thank you for sharing so many tips. And is there anything that I didn't ask you that we should share?
I just want to encourage any of you that are really have been hesitant, just explore, just learn, just consider it. And I think as you learn more, it may find a place into your business.
Without a doubt, and with a minimum of $750, and there's really nothing to lose, and there's so much to gain. Building your brand, building your presence, it's something that we suggest every practice does, and it doesn't hurt to find out a little bit more.
Yeah. So,
thank you, Ellen. I appreciate
it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
If you're thinking about opening an aesthetic practice, or if you're just starting out, this isn't for you. However, if you've been in business and your practice is generating $500,000 a year or more in gross revenue, then pay attention, because I'm going to help you scale it by 10x or more. It's very easy to get sucked into that day-to-day operations of your business. You might find yourself working the front desk, giving consultations, dealing with everything from customer service to training employees, but rarely taking that step back to look at your business as a whole. As a result, it's very difficult to gain traction in your business and really break through to that next level of 7 or even 8 figures. And if you're like most aesthetic practice owners, you are so excited to finally open your doors because you absolutely love everything about the aesthetic industry, and you are so passionate about what you do and the incredible transformations you provide for your patients. But now, you may secretly be resenting your business and no longer find it enjoyable at all. Listen, I get it. You're too busy wearing all the hats and filling in all the gaps to chart the course that will really take your business to a true, sustained, then scalable profitability. And if we're being honest, this is most likely causing other areas of your life to suffer too. Your health, your relationships, and of course, your bank account. If this is starting to sound a little too familiar, I want to take a moment to tell you about the Aesthetic EMPIRE Mastermind. The Aesthetic EMPIRE Mastermind is your opportunity to take that step back and actually lay the blueprint and make the decisions that will be the difference between just surviving and truly building an empire, while you become recognized as the go-to authority in the aesthetic space. During our time together, we'll cover techniques and strategies you need to move from feeling like an employee in your own business to owning your true role as CEO. You will also be learning from other successful aesthetic business owners who have built highly profitable businesses. And I'm going to teach you exactly what we do to grow our businesses, to become better leaders, and to get consistent leads and patients into your facility. Plus, I'll teach you proven strategies to improve your patient retention, increase your sales and transactions, so that you can build a profitable business that serves your ideal lifestyle. You'll learn exactly what you need to create a sustainable stream of high-quality patients, how to promote, market, and automate your business so your practice stands out even in the most crowded markets. You'll even learn how to create multiple streams of income to keep your bottom line growing. If you think the Aesthetic Empire Mastermind might just be the right fit for you, and if your business is generating more than $500,000 in gross revenue, then please accept my personal invitation to apply to be a part of this exclusive mastermind. It's time for more patients, more revenue, more impact, and more results.